day is yours. God, this season is yours. The whole earth and all that fill it is yours. Beyond that, the whole universe, the galaxies, the things we don't yet understand or can even begin to comprehend. It's yours. It's all yours. As are we. Thank you for everything you do for us. In your name we pray, amen. Y'all may not believe this, but I really wanted Jim and Aaron to do that song. Because as most of y'all know, I'm quite metal to the core, but Southern gospel will melt me in an instant. And that's my roots. That's where I come from, right? That's the place for me. So thank you for sharing that with all of us and setting the tone for what we're looking at today. I want to talk about God, obviously, but specifically one of the names of God that showed up back in the book of Isaiah when we were getting these prophecies of Christ coming to be here. And that prophecy said that his name will be Emmanuel. And Emmanuel means God is with us. God is with us. But that doesn't even begin, in our present day language, begin to explain that whole situation. We can just say, oh yeah, God's with us. Sometimes that when we say goodbye, that's actually a contraction of the word God be with you. So it turned into goodbye. Originally it was God be with you. Let's look at Jeremiah 23:24. No one can hide where I cannot see them. Do you not know that I am everywhere in heaven and on earth? That's a little bit more than God with us. We can't get away. There's no escape in this thing. Let's look at Isaiah, another place that breaks it down. These are angels. They were calling out to each other, holy, 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 the Lord Almighty is holy. His glory fills the world. His glory fills the world. Sometimes, I don't know about y'all, but I can be caught in a pretty negative attitude and go through my day, and I'm like, God, where are you this day? Where are you? I can't see you anywhere. Now I really understand the frustration my wife gets when I open up the refrigerator and I'm like, I can't find the milk. I can't find it. Where is it? Where's the milk? She comes up, Jared, just right there. You got to move something out of the way, and it's right there. And the kids do that too. I'll be like, Ashlyn will be sitting in front of the TV. I'm trying to do something at the dining room table, and she's like, Daddy. Yeah, honey. I can't find my yogurt. Did you get a yogurt? No? Refrigerator's over there. I can't find it. You got to actually get up and walk in the direction of where we're looking here. But it's one of those things, you just got to move some things around, and you can see quite clearly the milk is there, the yogurt is there. Whatever you're looking for, it's there. Especially when we say, God, where are you? I don't know about y'all. I say that quite often going through some of my circumstances. God, where are you in this? But the angels know his glory fills the earth. Not just kind of sprinkled on it. It fills the earth. Let me tell you just how much his glory fills the earth. In this very room today, right now, we are completely surrounded by God in each other, in nature, in every bit, just the air we breathe, we're surrounded by God. But then also God is completely and fully within us. Then how come we can't see it? The way I think of it this way, I really like how I've heard somebody say this, was that think of a fish. A fish may not even necessarily realize there's water, but that water is completely surrounding the fish and completely within the fish. It's everywhere. And it won't really notice until you take it out of water. It doesn't seem to enjoy that very much. And we feel that way sometimes. Like, God, where are you? All around you, all within you. Within every cell, within every atom, within every quark within your being. He is here, and God is with us. Emmanuel. So God's always been omnipresent. God's always been all around us, all within us. But the story of Christmas makes it a little bit more real. Makes it a lot of bit more real. Let's take a peek at John 1:14 out of the Message. The Word became flesh and blood and moved into the neighborhood. What's the neighborhood? Here, earth. Moved into the neighborhood. We saw the glory with our own eyes. The one-of-a-kind glory, like Father, like Son, generous inside and out, true from start to finish. Now, with Christmas, God is not only just around us and within us. There's something a little bit more to it. So, starting there, on Christmas, Christ became incarnate. That's a fancy little theological word. Let me break it down for you. Carn, flesh, in. All right, so in the flesh, here, manifested to be with us physically. God's always been with us on a spiritual level, everywhere, permeating our existence in this Christ-soaked world. But now, he is with us, in flesh even. And while he was here, we were given a pretty monumental task. A very monumental task. Let's take a peek at John 13. Let me give you a new command. Love one another in the same... Y'all must get tired of me and Bill bringing this message, this word up every week, but it's important, so join along with us. In the same way that I have loved you, you love one another. This is how everyone will recognize that you are my disciples, when they see the love you have for each other. How are we doing there? How are we doing there? How's the world looked? Is everyone going around? Clearly there's a God present among us. Look at how everyone's loving each other. Turn on the news. Love everywhere. Look, Congress is meeting again for hugs. Maybe a quick hug around the neck. That's what they're trying to do to each other here. No, you don't see this love everywhere like we were asked to do. And we were always meant to love as he loved. That was the plan from the beginning. And beyond that, not just to love as he loved, but here at the end of that same verse, this is how everyone will recognize that you are my disciples, when they see the love you have for each other. We were supposed to take that love, that good news, we tend to call that the gospel, and take that good news, and it was always meant to be shared. Let's look at Acts. This is the first century church. This is what they were told to do. Acts chapter 1, verse 8. He knows what's up. I'm excited too, my man. Just kidding. It says, see if we can go by memory. Ready? Acts 1:8 says, and you will take my word, and you will go from Judea to Samaria, to the ends of the earth. From your location to the town next door, to the ends of the earth. All of it. All of it we were meant to go to. Did I happen to give you 2 Corinthians 5? Oh, there we go. Ready? And that's easy enough to say, oh yeah, go into the world and share the good news. Neat. This breaks it down even more for us. Ready? All this is done by God, whom through Christ changed us from enemies into his friends, and gave us the task of making others his friends also. So it's not just share the good news, it's go and whatever enemies you may have, make them friends. Whatever enemies of God, and everyone has their own opinion on who the enemies of God are. Most of the time it's the enemy of whoever you were raised to believe is the enemy. And make them your friends. Okay, go back just a second. I want to read verse 19, ready? Our message is that God is making a few human beings his friends through Christ. No, making Christians his friends through Christ. No, making Union Church his friends through Christ. No, making all human beings his friends through Christ. Let's hit that next one. God did not keep an account of their sins, and he has given us the message which tells us how he makes them his friends. Here we are then, speaking for Christ, as though God himself were making his appeal through us. We plead on Christ's behalf. Let God change you from enemies into his friends. The mission of Christ was to come into the world and to be present within the world, not just in the air and within us, but to physically be right there in the lives of individuals and communities. And we were asked to do the same thing. We're doing real good with it, aren't we? Doing okay. We're doing all right. But we were given this huge task to go and be present in people's suffering and people's lives. Here's the problem. We're pretty terrible at this. We're not great. We're really not great. It's pretty bad. We have had something come up in the past 10, 15 years that really got in the way of these things, helped in a lot of monumental ways in connecting people with social media. There's connections that my wife has made that she never would have made to begin with. Support groups going on Facebook, finding different support group blogs where she can hear from other people going through similar situations that she is as a mother. What do you do here? And someone's always there and may have a really bad answer, but if anything, it's that communication, that camaraderie, that realizing I'm not alone in my struggles here. But also, social media and cell phones in particular can get in the way. There's I want to say back in 2010, 2011, there was a study where they found something about cell phones that's really not that great. Do I got that out there for you? Yay. Phantom vibration syndrome. It is. It is absolutely, it's a thing. Look it up. Do I have different words for it? Ready? A tactile hallucination. Tactile feelings, what you feel. Hallucination. It ain't there. A tactile hallucination that one's mobile phone is vibrating or ringing when it's not. Y'all ever feel that? You're sitting here just hanging out and you just imagine, I don't even have my phone with me. And then you have the freak out. We're like, where's my phone? That's not healthy. To go through hallucinations and an instant panic attack, is that good for us? That's really not what I want to do on my Tuesday afternoons. There's different names for it that are super, super catchy, and I wish I would have had it. One is ringxiety. I wish I could make this up. Ready? Faux alarm. That's just good. That's good writing. I wish I could say I claim that. Instead of phantom, phontem. How many of y'all have ever had ringxiety, faux alarm, or phontem before? I was feeling it just earlier. I'm like, oh, wait, Nope, just kidding. No ringing today. And then on top of that, you have these people who sell us these products, make them so darn catchy and fun to play with all the dings and the bells and the whistles. It's quite Pavlovian. Look it up if you're not sure what that is. I don't have time to play with that one. But it's one of those you hear. Yeah, I'll explain it. Pavlov's theory. You ring a bell right when a dog comes to eat. It's going to get used to thinking that bell means it's time to eat. Now, when we have a bell ring or a vibration, I have friends. Somebody liked my picture. It happens. And that's why I'm doing my best to kind of leave my phone off to the side. That's why everyone's like, how come Jared never answers his phone? Because I don't like faux alarms and ringxieties and all them things. I'm trying my best to detox that from my life, but we'll see where I end up. Next week, you might see me preaching from my phone. I'm not perfect. We'll figure it out. But here's the thing is the reason that those dings and those bells and those whistles get us so excited, we kind of got like that's where we find our temporary peace. We find temporary happiness with our material things. And that quick ding, oh, really exciting to look into that, takes the place of a lot of the hard work of internal and personal development. We're no longer looking to improve ourselves sometimes. We're just looking for the next ding that makes us feel real good. Our culture teaches us to value personal comfort over true wholeness and well-being. I'm going to say that again. Our culture. So I'm not saying the whole world. I'm talking specifically in the world that we are currently in right here. Teaches us to value personal comfort, me feel good, over true wholeness and well-being. I want to feel good now, not be set for the rest of my life. And we tend to fall into that. Wonderful, wonderful author, Richard Rohr. He's a Franciscan friar out in New Mexico. He said this in his book, The Divine Dance. By and large, what human beings want is resurrection without death, answers without doubt, light without darkness, the conclusion without the process. Maybe you could say we don't like Jesus when we really just don't like reality. We escape into a flight of fantasy, banality. I had to look that word up. Banality means unoriginal, so unoriginal. Our lives, everything's cookie cutter. We escape into a flight of fantasy, banality, the unoriginal, and unreality. Mechanical thinking takes over, and our lives, it's supposed to be lives, I apologize, our lives run on autopilot. A spin cycle of passing pleasure and purposeless pain. I love that author. He makes it sound like poetry when he's telling something that's slapping me in the face. Just hit me in the face. Let's check out this video. This is from a movie called Click.
Hey, Dad. Sorry to bug you. Would you mind looking at my shopping mall design again? This one is cheaper. But if you check this out, you'll see it has a much better natural flow.
Cheaper one. Like I said, just let me do my email.
Yeah, you're right, Dad.
You ain't right. You're a schmuck.
Better.
Look at it. Surprise.
Hey, Grandpa.
Oh, my God. When did you get so handsome? So, Michael, I had a wonderful idea. Your mother's playing canasta with her friends tonight. I thought, oh, what a great opportunity. You, me, and Ben should go and have a boys' night out.
Can't.
What do you mean you can't? You have to eat sometime. We could whistle at pretty girls.
I'm down for that.
See, he's down. I don't know what it means, but he's down.
Hey, please.
Don't give me that finger. I'll make you a deal. If you come, I'll show you the quarter trick.
Will you look at the man?
I'll tell you the secret.
No, Dad.
Don't you want to know?
How you do this stupid trick? I've always known. Can you let me do my work?
You've always known. You're pathetic. I'm so sorry I barged in. I love you, son.
See you later, Grandpa. I love you. Dad. Pop. Pop.
I love you, son. I love you, son. I love you, son.
I love you too, Dad.
I'll miss you.
You know that.
Goodbye.
So in that clip, Adam Sandler's character has a universal remote, which totally does not work as advertised in real life. And he was going through his life, and he fast forward past all the parts he didn't want to go through, the difficult parts, the difficult times, the times when the kids were just running around the house screaming nonstop. Oh, I don't want to deal with that. Any real, true issues or drama or pain that came up, he's fast forwarding through. And it wasn't until he got to the end of his life and realized that he was merely a shell of a person with no one else around him that loved him, when he decided he wanted to go back and see what went wrong. And this was one of the places that he found that Even his own dad, that was the last time in the story that he got to see his dad. It was his last moment he could be with him. And he was so focused on just getting what I need to get done, instead of being present with the people surrounding him. We tend to want to rush through the difficult times in our life rather than being present within them too. It's easy to want to be present in the good times. The difficult part is realizing when those good times are. We're always trying to rush through everything. I say we. I'm talking about me, by the way. I'm not looking at anybody but myself in a big giant mirror right here. We're asked to be present in our difficult times. A passage that I hated for the longest time was James chapter 1, verse 2 through 4. And it's now that I've really been through some pretty rough stuff, I'm looking at this and I still don't like it. It still hurts, but it doesn't make it any less true. Consider it a sheer gift, friends, when tests and challenge come at you from all sides. You know that under pressure, your faith life is forced into the open and shows its true colors. So don't try to get out of anything prematurely. Let it do its work so you become mature and well-developed, not deficient in any way. We're becoming who we were meant to be. I'm not saying that God throws horrible times into our lives. That doesn't sound like a God I would want to work and hang out with and co-create with if it was a God that was like, yeah, I'm going to have this horrible stuff, just boom, right there. No, this pain that happens in our life, it comes at us all. This pain is always happening. Pain is everywhere. We're not going to stop it from happening. We'll talk more about pain in a minute. Let's look at Philippians 4, 12 through 13. A lot of people will quote this verse to whenever they're excited about doing something. Like, I'm going to start up my own business. Why? Because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I'm going to really, really go all in on this relationship because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Let's read the verse before it so we can get a little bit of context here. I know what it is to be in need and what it is to have more than enough. I have learned this secret so that anywhere, at any time, I am content, whether I am full or hungry, whether I have too much or too little. I have the strength to face all conditions by the power that Christ gives me. It really has not much to do with I have superpowers, I can do whatever I want. That ain't it. That ain't it. There's been many lives destroyed by misreading this verse. I can probably do that. You probably shouldn't. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. My wife tells me that all the time. Actually, Pastor Aaron tells me that all the time. Jared, just because you can doesn't mean you should. He keeps me in line. It's great. So I want to look at this idea of we have all this pain coming our way that we want to fast forward and get through. And we're like, I have this problem. I have all these problems and these problems. But something that Pastor Bill taught me way back when and has truly changed my life, ask yourself this. Is this a problem or an inconvenience? Is this a problem or an inconvenience? A problem you're not going to be able to really take care of on your own. You're going to need some help. An inconvenience, you'll be all right. This happens with my kids all the time. Happens with my kids all the time. Ashlyn, y'all love Ashlyn. I don't get it, but y'all do. Every time any of my wonderful friends and family here at the church, they see Ashlyn, they're like, you're so cute and sweet, and I love your voice. And I'm like, This girl, though, has a whine attached to everything that she has to say at home sometimes. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty, Daddy. We have a water cooler right here. She's holding her cup. That's all it takes. Daddy, I'm thirsty. You got this. And she has a lot of wine. Everything is a massive problem with her. And what we're trying to teach her is this very fact is this a problem or an inconvenience? Could you possibly take care of this yourself? Would it maybe take just a slight shift in your perspective and all of a sudden you can see the milk jug in the back of the fridge Is this one of those things? Is this a real problem, or is this just an inconvenience? Now, this is a quote. I've heard a lot of discussion on where it came from, and I was not able to find a true source of this quote, but you hear it a lot in 12-step programs. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. I'm going to say it again. Pain is inevitable. It gonna happen. Life is going to hit you when you least expect it. It will knock you on your butt, and it's going to hurt, and it won't be fun. Good news today. Suffering is optional. Suffering is optional. In the Buddhist tradition, they have a saying. They say that pain and suffering are like two arrows. You're going to get hit by one. You don't have to get hit by the other. You could get hit by the first one. Oh, I forgot I'm wearing a microphone. And it hits you. I'm sorry, Miranda. And you have a moment to be like, ow! And we're okay. Sidestep. That's that suffering. With pain is what's going to happen to you. That suffering is our negative internal response to that pain. When we don't take that pain very well. When we get hit by that hair and we go, ow! And we stand still and don't change or move anything. Ow! You're going to get hit by both. But it doesn't have to be that way. The problem is with suffering. When we get this pain and we give in to suffering, we tend to clam up. We tend to close ourselves in. I know, because I do it all the time. There's times I'll be laying in my bed and like, I ain't getting out of bed. And face people? Like in person? Where they can see me? I don't feel up to that. At all. Plenty of times. But this is what the Bible calls us to do. This is what the Bible says is the cure for this suffering issue, because the pain's going to happen. It's going to happen. But what does the Bible tell us about this? It tells us that we're better together. Let's look at Proverbs 27:17. People learn from one another just as iron sharpens iron. How many of y'all have seen a blacksmith doing their working on something? Super awesome, really cool. I'm about it. It gets hot in there still. But they don't just like gently like, and it's a sword. No, they beat the ever-living garbage out of it with a hammer and just put it in the fire and beat the crap out of it, knocking all the impurities out of it, right? So people learn from one another as iron sharpens iron. It's not comfortable. It's going to get hot. You're going to get hit. It's not going to be fun. But that's how we learn. That's how we grow, is in community, in relationship. If I was going through the stuff that I'm going through with absolutely zero help, I wouldn't make it. And I bet every one of us in this room can look at a time in our lives where we're like, man, I could probably have handled that perfectly well with no help. You might have had a few things like that, like moving the milk jug out of the way. That's my personal example, but all of us have had something in our lives where like, I couldn't have made that if it wasn't for so-and-so. If it wasn't for my church. If it wasn't for my family. In my case, if it wasn't for my wife. If it wasn't for my in-laws, my grandparents. If it wasn't for the group of friends and coworkers and pastors here coming alongside me in my life and walking me through it, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't be making it right now without people. Let's look at Ecclesiastes. By yourself, you're unprotected. With a friend, you can face the worst. Can you round up a third? A three-stranded rope isn't easily snapped. Not easily. Man, just one friend. You know, the Bible says wherever two or more are gathered, surely God is among them. Three is not easily snapped. We can face the worst with two, but with three, what if we had a whole church? What if we had a whole community? What if all of us truly walked alongside each other in our suffering and was there not to judge, not to say, well, you could do this and get better, not to be prescriptive on how to improve our lives, but to just be present. We go around looking for the presence of God when God is around us, among us, within us. You want the presence of God? Call a friend. That's a child of God. Because guess what? You know how Christ was the incarnation here? Christ wrapped in flesh on the earth for us. We are the continuation of that incarnation. You're looking for Christ on earth? I mean, yes, me a little bit, but all of us. We are Christ on earth. You think when you walk by and you're like, oh, I'll pray for you, and you move on with your life, God help them? Who do you think God's going to send? You, me, us. When we were seeing and I say we, I mean us as people, not as Union Church, but when we saw the homeless here in the county, we made a decision to go alongside and help and meet needs. That's a beautiful thing. We're meant to be present just as Christ is present with us. I love this author, Winifred Fowler Sullivan. She wrote a book called The Ministry of Presence. Of course, I'm going to go and look into that when I'm writing this message. I like how she defined it. She defined the ministry of presence as suffering alongside the hurting. Now, to suffer alongside of somebody, you need to have something called compassion. And like Pastor Bill was saying in the previous service, and he'll say all the time, if you want compassion, if you want to learn what that looks like, how that feels, and smells, and tastes, just read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Just look at the life of Jesus. It exudes compassion. That's all it is. There's no hatred. There's no spite. There's no, well, a little mishap here. No, it is nonstop, 100%, full blast, cranked to 11 compassion. Every breath out of Christ as he was present with us. And so that's all he's asking us to do, is to be just like that. That's all. It's not easy. So not easy. But it's what we're called to do. Also, the ministry of presence is not only suffering alongside the hurting, but it is a state of being, not as something you say or do, something you do or say. You can't say the right thing and I'm compassionate. I said the right words. Something I did, you know what? I'm just going to do something. Here's a cup of water. I've met my compassionate quota for the day. Done. Now I'm going to go do whatever I want. No, it's a state of being. When we talk about salvation, it's not like I just got saved in this moment and I'm good. No, you're in the state of constantly being saved. It's a state of being. And when we accept this mission, when we say, Christ, come into my life, I want to see your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. This is what it looks like to go and suffer along the least of these. It's a state of being. That's why the Bible talks about transformation so much, because we're really, really into ourselves, and we're being called to be transformed, to not live for ourselves, but to live for each other. And we see this here at church. We're doing a really good job here. And I'm not going to sit up here and toot my own horn because I did not do nary any of this. But y'all have done this. I'm here having fun doing small group ministries and stuff. And I'm actively choosing to move very slowly, because if you build something up too fast, it gonna fall. I've played Jenga before. I know how this goes. It's gonna fall to pieces if you try and go too fast. But taking it slow, building up from the ground up, and using some of the foundations that are already laid, we're already doing a pretty good job at this. Celebrate Recovery here at Union is such a phenomenal, unbelievably life-changing ministry where people are truly suffering from insert hurt, habit, hang up here. Truly suffering can come to a place where they are not judged, but are met with open arms, love, compassion, and understanding. They may not understand your exact situation, but you can walk in there and I bet you there will be somebody there that's like, I feel you. You're welcome here. You're loved here. You don't got to cover nothing up. You don't got to pretend to be something else. You don't got to pretend to have it all figured out, because we sure don't. It's a beautiful ministry, and we're already doing it. I didn't have to do nothing. Y'all made it easy on me. Another group we have, the one that I actually started off with here a couple years ago now, is Focus. that started off just to be in general for young adults, and now it's kind of transformed and honed itself into young families, a ministry for young families, people who have children but that's where they would fit in. They come to this place and we eat a meal, we share together, and 9 times out of 10 there may not be a lesson. Not because I'm lazy, I mean a little bit, but that's not the primary issue. It's because we're together. We're going to share a meal, and then we talk about our lives. We talk about what we went through this past week. And there's a lot. And just the few beautiful lives that show up to this, there's so much pain. And I can say, at least for myself, some of the stuff that I've been going through this year, I would not have made it if it wasn't for this small group. Like I said, I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm not doing nothing. This is y'all that show up to these things and then love on me and each other. We're already doing a fairly good job of being present, but we could still do better. And I want to look at how we can do better, because when we are going through these hard times, we're asked to share that with others. Share your difficulties. You know why? Because there might be someone who has either been through it before, or you may be the only person in the whole room who's ever been through what you've been through, in which case, that's impressive. Neat. But what we really need is that time with one another, to open up and to share it, to speak your truth of, I am hurting. Because it's going to be hard for someone to have compassion if they don't even know someone's hurting. I promise you, you can go to just about, I'd say every single person in this room if you have an issue. And if you express your issue to that person, they're not going to turn you away. They're going to sit down and listen to you. They're going to hear you out. Because I feel Union Church, we do a fairly okay job at suffering along the hurting and being in a state of being, of love and compassion and the ministry of presence. So on that note, I did want to end. I'm going to be ending just a little bit early, so if y'all want to get started, I'm all about it. This world is painful. And we were never, ever, ever meant to do it ourselves. We were never, ever, ever meant to try and walk this difficult journey alone. Even Jesus didn't walk it alone. He had a bunch of dudes walking with him. Right? We were never meant to do this alone. Not sure what that passage is. This life is hard, and we weren't meant to do it alone. Lucky for us, there's 7.8 billion other people here to do life with. Rather than looking at people that could be enemies, rather than looking at people as a potential person that's going to tear you down, take that leap of faith to say, I'm going to trust God's word when it says we're better together, and I'm going to do the very difficult, painful thing to be present within my own pain and share it with another. Because it's a lot easier to do with help. It's a lot easier, and it's exactly what Christ asked us to do. My prayer this day is that may we all be more present in this Christ-soaked world, recognizing that God is everywhere. God is present. May we all be more present with those that we love, those that we can't stand, and especially present with the least of these. And may we all also be more present in our entire situation, treating every problem and every inconvenience as an opportunity to grow into the person that we were created to become. Not created to be. You're the best version of you can be. You become this, and we become this together. The altar is open. if you are looking for a chance to seek God's presence in your world and opportunities to be more present in the one you're in right now.